I think, first of all, you don't have the option. You know that you don't have the option but to take the company or the family and set up enterprise to the next level and hand it over to the next generation bigger and better. I think that commitment, that which comes as a part of the responsibility to a large extent, if you are the one who's inheriting it. But same times, I think the stake makes you, because you have absolutely, you are in your hand lies the future of the thousands of the people, the dreams of the generations who have passed by, who have worked hard, the personality and the let's say the value of the brand that has been created over the years. It's a huge responsibility that you have on your head, and you want to make sure that it works no matter what you need to do. I think it's a question of a completely different level of commitment, because there is buck stops with you, and you don't have the choice to quit because there are far too many people's interests are connected with you. Secondly, I think it's all about passion. That's what I've seen. That you mentioned, I've got 3 sons, and they all work on different verticals, in different geographies. And I've found that that's something, if you constantly, systematically, consistently work with them, you can impart with that. I think you have to make sure that your next generation enjoy the fruits of success. As they say, there is nothing that succeeds like success. You got to create a situation where they are seen as doers. They are seen as people who have achieved it, and that's the single biggest asset you can give to your next generation.
So these have formed very important components of the way you've been building legacy, the way you've been building your sons, including Nirvana. It's giving them that opportunity to be seen for their own successes, to give them opportunities to fail to a certain extent, but to succeed in many, many ways. Yeah. I'd also like to ask Nirvana, how is it working with your dad? And you've gone on the record at other events on this, so I know the answer.
No, I not because he's my father, but he is seriously, 1 in a billion, according to me. And trust me, I really enjoy. I've been blessed to have spent time with, all the way from people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Jack, some of the most successful entrepreneurs I've spent a lot of time with, and I've taken few traits or leadership style of theirs. But I think with him, it's very, very different. It's all of that put together in one. I always joke around and tell my brothers that, I think he could make, if Maradona trained under him, he could make Maradona, or let's say Lionel Messi trained under him, he could make Lionel Messi like Warren Buffett. He would make sure that he would set the right benchmark or the right guidance or the right environment where he would start channelizing that skill into business. So I think it's very tough. Every time we feel we've reached that goal, again we've seen that the benchmark goes higher. And I guess deep inside, not that he's told me ever, but I think deep inside he feels a little bit of that, okay, I'm proud of these guys, but he knows that his duty is to keep pushing our potential, because unless he sees our potential, how is the organization going to grow? How are we going to grow? And I think, but all of this is revolving around the fundamental values that we've grown up with, and things like humility. I think that's the single biggest value our family has, which we've learned from our not only from my parents, but even from my grandparents. Compassion, even before CSR or philanthropy as a organized division or a entity came in, we were already philanthropic as a family from the last 50, 60 years since my grandfather's time. So learning all these values, learning how to be frugal when you need to be, learning how you need to be...
Yeah, that's true, because a lot of family business tend to report much leaner cost structures than their counterparts because it's our money that we're investing, right?
But you
So
have
we
to at
feel
a very
very
young
differently
age,
about it. Yeah.
Young age, understand the value of money. You know, there were times when, because of the environment we've grown up in, there were times when I had, you're given access to the best credit cards or whatever, but we used to always think 10 times, do I really need to spend that? Do I really need to do that?
And so you apply that to business as well. Two questions. One, so all of these things that you're talking about this commitment, that one thing that makes family businesses so strong is that emotional investment, that commitment, that passion that you have. If you are not part of a family business, is that possible to replicate? Can an entrepreneur replicate that in their own businesses? Binod?
Well, I think somewhere it has to start. I mean, if you look at the recent trend, most of the big companies globally are started by the first generation businessmen. They had no background in terms of any family inheritance. These are all new ideas. It was all power of idea backed by the technology, connectivity. You talk of any of the tech companies, which is, and you see that trend going on every day. So the issue, I think the narrative also is now beginning to change. I mean, I can talk about, the Apple, okay, or for that matter, Microsoft, okay. Bill Gates seems to be moving out of that company, and there is nothing called the family legacy, but the company seems to be performing better. I think it's also beginning to be driven by the new trends, the new technology, the comparative advantage, which probably someone from outside brings in better than what the company otherwise has inherited. So I think this is becoming a very interesting discussion. I mean, on one hand, we say that the family businesses still, continue to dominate the economic world, and there is a much better return on investment, much better, bigger sense of emotional as well as financial commitment to it, okay? And they're seen as not only contributing to the national economy, but also to the society at large. Some of the big philanthropists that you hear about, that you talk about, come from the family businesses, okay? But on the other hand, there is a set of new new companies, new generations, which is bringing in new ideas to the table, and which is run completely differently. A bunch of young people, they come together who bring in different sets of skills. Maybe one of them was the entrepreneurs. They work together, and that becomes a $1 billion company. And in the process, everyone becomes a billionaire.
Right.
I think that's the trend. So we'll have to yet to see what happens to the next generation what happens to the succession of leadership in these companies.
Right.